What is going on, guys? Welcome back. Commentary for you. I bet some of you are taken back by the length of this video. But before I get into this, I want to thank you for supporting my channel. I mean, here we are, 15 years practically, close to 70 million views, not quite at 100,000 subscribers. And I feel like this video is the pinnacle of where my channel was headed towards. And I know so many of you supported me, and I appreciate it. I also have some great sponsors that have came on board along the way. Obviously, Steel Supplements. Even if you don't go and buy anything, just click the link and look at their site. Even if you buy, I think they've got a bundle for $10 that gets you some samples and a free t-shirt, a shaker cup. It helps my channel. Obviously, Weeble's brought me on for years as a preferred influencer. They give you the best promotion they have. If you click my link, all you have to do is go open an account. They'll give you free stock just for opening it. If you deposit $1, they're going to give you more free stock. Again, all of it really helps my channel. But what also helps my channel is EA Sports. Because I'm not here to talk to you about my opinion anymore. I'm here to present to you some facts from the developers of this game. So many of you asked me to do this video when EA came out and said that this was going to be a big year, not just for them, but for the future of the employees at EA Sports. I didn't want to just rush into this. So I actually took some time and I did a good bit of research. And I wanted to share all this with you because even though I had an idea of how bad things were, I didn't really understand how bad things were, if that makes sense. So this is where we are today. EA Sports promises the most polished version of Madden. The game releases. They're trying to honor the legacy of John Madden, who passed. They put out a game that is probably worse than before in all aspects, the same in many. And EA has a legacy of going out and doing make-rights. So in Madden Ultimate Team, when there's a problem, it's a relatively easy solution, right? If someone's not satisfied with the rewards, or if someone doesn't get something in the time frame they expect, EA has gotten very accustomed to giving that person more free cards and then expecting them to be understanding of the situation. So, in essence, what you expected didn't arrive. To make this right, we're going to provide you free cards. You're going to play with those free cards, be happy, and continue to play. The issue that EA had is, this year, they let down the franchise gamer. And when they let down the franchise gamer, there is no make-right pack. They can't give us extra draft picks. They can't give us extra free agents. They can't do anything. They can't give us extra practice squad players. So they really were stuck. And I want everyone to understand that these gamers are the ones that built this brand. They are the ones that told their friends to go buy Madden. They're the ones that said everything was going to be okay when EA got the license years ago and have continued to support this game. They're the ones that used to wait in line at EB Games or GameStop. They're the ones that gladly play the pre-order. They're the ones that probably have made friends with the EA developing team so they can get those very, very special beta codes. And they're the ones that are tasked with providing feedback that EA ignores each year. Yet this year, EA is using the same exact verbiage after destroying gamers' hard work. These gamers spent hours themselves, thousands of hours combined, building a franchise with each other to play online. And by no fault of their own, all of that was gone. They had to start over. And many of them didn't, because they didn't have faith in the game to start over. And that's what we're here to talk about today. Faith in the game. How much do you have left? And how much are you willing to let EA recommit? Because to me, you can only say you're going to try so many times before I don't believe you're going to continue to try. You can only use the same verbiage so many times before I get tired of hearing the same rhetoric. So I want you to understand that when I read this, and it talks about how big of a year it is, I didn't want to just go back to this. This would have been low-hanging fruit. This would have been easy to do. This is last year. We're going to talk about Clint Oldenburg. And I don't want to see anyone lose their job in this economy, but I want to see accountability. I want understanding that the community has been and will continue to be right about the direction of this game, despite the fact that developers will lead you to believe anything but that is the case. We're very confident that our game for Madden 23 is going to be the most polished version of Madden that we've had in a long time. What I'm not going to say is it's going to be perfect, but I am going to say that the team is still striving to reach perfection. As hard as that may be to reach, that is what our goal is. I think we can all stand here today and know that before February ends, this was not the most polished version of Madden. The strive for perfection failed, and this game broke on so many gamers. The only recourse EA had was to give it away half price, which means they will lose money from their most pure gamers that are willing to listen to the rhetoric they're going to sell us and commit to making a better game that they never have in years past. So when Clint here says they know they can't reach that goal if their players believe that the game is a buggy experience, that's where I take a stance, Clint. It's not us believing the game is buggy. It's never been us believing that the game is buggy. It's been you. It's been everyone working on this game refusing to agree that the game is broken and nullifying the community's response to you. Mine in particular. Remember when you told us that the 0.2 user score was a joke and that 0.2 was better than 0.1? Make no qualms about it, Clint. That's what got you here. The same arrogance, the same lack of understanding that didn't put you on an NFL roster off the practice squad is the same arrogance and lack of understanding that's led you to fail as a game designer. Let's go back to Madden NFL 22. Because as I said, I didn't want low-hanging fruit. I didn't want to just go back to last year. We're going to go back a couple years, Clint. We're going to take a hard look at what you promised us as a community. Now that we know where you put us, where you led us, right? You want to make all these football references. You want to talk about all the time you spent on a football field. Well, let's talk about being a leader of men. And let's talk about the product that you put in a box with your name, but also John Madden's. When you talk about Madden NFL 22, the past years, when you have even other games with giant, big, epic new features, that's the words I want you to understand, guys. Giant, big, epic. Didn't they just talk about these big plans for Madden 24? Well, here we are with Madden 22. These giant, big, epic new features. The same thing they sold you now is what they've sold you then. Clint says when you have those, there's not time to do anything else. And that this new game update with Madden NFL 22 is going to make it so authentic. Dynamic game day. They were able to get stuff done. Make significant changes to the way the game feels, the way the game looks. And he hopes that us as players, we see that and feel that. And know that they've got the game to the next level. Did this game get to the next level? Did the sidelines even improve? Let's go back though, Clint. Let's go back before, because this is one of my favorites. This is on ESPN. The vision for Madden NFL 20 and the continued vision in Madden NFL 21 is to make players feel like stars. You go on to champion that former NFL offensive lineman pedigree, and you talk about coming up with the X Factor concept. And I thought to myself, did Clint Oldenburg really come up with the X Factor concept? Or did 2K do that years before Clint was even involved with this game? That's a question you have to answer yourself. But my answer to that is NFL 2K8 was doing this long before Clint Oldenburg dreamed it up for Madden NFL 20. He says that you've got to elevate the elite. You've got to lower the non-elite players in a star-driven game. And he talks about that's why people watch the NFL. They want to see the stars. They have the biggest direct outcome on the game. And again, he says, as a former player, the line between good and great is pretty thin. Well, I guess you would know all about that line between poor and good. But the line between great and elite is pretty large. And that's what we want to reflect. And that's what we're going to continue to reflect. Continue to reflect indicates, though, Clint, that you've been doing that with your game, and you haven't. And I know as we approach the 10-minute mark, this has been all about Clint, but I don't want it to be all about Clint because he's not the only one to blame for this game's shortcoming. Sean Grady, your time is now. Because you actually have the audacity to be proud of this generation of gaming. You actually, 3 years ago, admitted the franchise mode's woes. And this is where it gets the best. You actually sat here and had to address, at the time it was happening, the Fix Madden Franchise Mode hashtag. And you had to speak about what you thought the core dissatisfaction of the franchise gamer was. She actually asks you, what is the biggest change that can push franchise mode back into a good place? 3 years ago, before the game deleted everyone's rosters, everyone's files, and made your company give a 50% discount to the following year's game, what did you have to say? That you talk a lot internally about your fan base and who's playing what and how they play. That you want to grow Madden. This isn't answering the question. You talk about wanting to widen the net of football fandom. That's right, let's get more people playing this poor excuse of a football game, and we're going to do that with Superstar KO in the yard. But then you contradict yourself, because you say you don't want to ignore the core fans. Franchise mode, face of the franchise. And the Fix Madden Franchise hashtag, which was trending. Because you didn't think that meant we were being ignored as gamers. You thought that meant we weren't getting enough. And that you say you don't get to argue with the hashtag, but you want to define what it is. Which tells me none of you pay attention to this community. You only hear the feedback you want to hear feedback from the people you choose. And make no mistake, you choose the people that create that content. You spoon feed them the content to use, and then you approve the criticisms they provide. And more than likely, it's done with criticisms that only you know you can fix. And anyone providing criticisms that you don't want to hear or you don't feel are fixable, you mute those, you block those, you ban those. That's what's gotten you here, if we're being completely honest. And when I sit here and I hear you say, we want more depth, we want more improvement, we want more changes, those are all true. And then you say, okay, we hear you. And you say there's a million different ideas out there how to fix franchise. Well, you hired a community member, and he couldn't get the job done. It's ridiculous. But it gets worse. Let's go back to Madden NFL 19. Sitting down with the two powerhouses. The two powerhouses behind Madden 19. Remember that when they're talking about jobs on the line. The powerhouse that is Clint Oldenburg laughed as he proudly proclaimed. Read it. Clint Oldenburg laughed as they proudly proclaimed, as they do every year, this is going to be the best Madden yet. Madden NFL 19. Talk to us, Clint. Tell us how it's going to be the best. Real player motion is all about player control. We want our players to have control over every position on the field. Well, then tell me why, when Face of the Franchise came out, just years later, we couldn't control every single player. He talks about the locomotion system, how they've completely revamped how players run, a balance between responsiveness and authenticity. They talk about ball carrying controls, like hit the hole, push the pile, one cut. All of these things are largely void in the current Madden. But he talks about how important it is for the player to be able to make highlight plays on the field and keep control of the player. Now understand, this is him talking about what player control does. He goes on to say the visual improvements, the animation upgrade, that year was the biggest animation upgrade in Madden history. So Clint, how do we go from Madden NFL 19 having the most animations, being the most player control, to just a few years later, you dreaming up all these abilities to make elite players elite, good players good, practice squad players game developers? It doesn't make sense, Clint. You can't continue to sit here and just spout words. You can't tell us how the game is going to be better and then contradict it the very next year. The fact that the two of you sat there and continue to be proud of the product is why it has failed. Because you should not have been proud of this product. And now EA Sports is telling you directly, you are not to be proud of this product because it failed. It failed to the point gamers needed a 50% discount to hope they will continue to support the franchise and buy the next year's version after their time was wasted trying to play this game and having all their efforts deleted. Clint, Sean, anyone else working on this game within earshot, it's time to swallow some pride. It's time to admit that you didn't make the most polished version of the game. It's time to admit that you've let the community down. And it's time to go back to your employer and say, listen, we couldn't handle it. We can't deal with the stress. We can't handle the pressure. We are not capable of being the only NFL game in the marketplace. So please, EA, spare me my job and release the rights to the NFL exclusive agreement so that we can have a fair and balanced gaming platform where any competitor can come in and make an NFL product. And then, if you really want to be proud, put the best game out that you can, make the best game that you can, and I promise you this. If you make the best football game, we will buy it as a community. But that's the problem. You haven't been making the best football game for a very long time. You've continued to not make the best football game, and you're scared to have to be able to make the best football game. And the only way that's going to happen is with competition. And Clint, I'm pretty sure the last time you entered a competition on the NFL field, you didn't win. And as much as I hate to say that to you, because it sounds like I'm degrading you, understand I respect what you did and accomplished as an athlete, but I don't respect the way you've treated this community and put this product in a box with John Madden's name on the front. And we all know, if you had to go out and compete in the NFL marketplace with this football game, you would also fail. No questions asked. Because any game is willing to put in the time and the effort today to earn the NFL license away from EA Sports and put a quality game out for consumers, it would be proud to have. Not sit there and degrade its customer, talk down to its customer, tell us how we've been wrong when we know we've been right. And the karma has finally came. And the price of karma is 50% off your copy of Madden 24. And I'm sure we'll be told the same lies just as we have every other year when it comes down to this being the best Madden yet. But I, for one, will not be here to believe it and tell you why in the week with more commentary.